Europe is warning the United States when it comes to peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, and currently they're sounding the alarm. EU is warning the United States not to pressure Ukraine into accepting a peace deal that gives Russia what it wants, adding later that when it comes to this policy, Kyiv going into concessions would actually encourage Russian aggression down the line, something we've all learned after 2014 with Minsk I and Minsk II. Ultimately, Europe's message to the United States is pretty blunt. Peace deal that sacrifices Ukraine's territory is not a peace deal. It's rewarding Russia. At the same time, the Trump administration is very optimistic about the current plan that's being brought to the Kremlin. It is something that Ukrainian officials worked with Europe and then with U.S. officials, and Steve Witkoff will be bringing it to Russia sometime later on this week. But behind the scenes, things are very different, with Russia saying that, hey, Ukraine, if you want a ceasefire, you have to give us land. And Ukraine then turning around saying, we're not giving you land because it's not your land, it's our land. Let's have a ceasefire now and then talk. It all means that the United States is being optimistic, Europe is alarmed from what we're seeing here, Ukrainians are refusing to give up land, and Russia won't even talk about a ceasefire unless it gets them what they want. That is where we are currently at. Ukraine has just scored one of their biggest lifelines heading into a very cold winter, and it's coming from the Netherlands. It was just earlier today that the Dutch government announced a 250 million euro package for Ukraine, and it includes a lot of stuff. This, by the way, was done through the Ukrainian Pearl program, or the Prioritize Ukraine Requirements List. Essentially, there's a list inside of NATO of things that Ukraine needs, and well, if Ukraine needs it, one of the country goes to said country and says, hey, can we buy this stuff? And so they buy it through NATO, and then from there it's donated to Ukraine. This list, by the way, is pretty much made up of just weapons that the U.S. has, because the U.S. is not providing weapons to Ukraine. Instead, they will allow NATO countries to buy them for Ukraine. So what is inside this new package? Well, we're talking about drones, missiles for the Ukrainian F-16s, plus new air defense munitions and equipment. I need to remind you that the Netherlands were actually the first country to buy things for Ukraine through this program, and they continue to buy things for Ukraine through this program. But that's not all. We also found out from the Dutch defense minister that they signed a contract with Ukrainian manufacturers to make certain kind of drones. This would be a joint production between both countries, meaning that they are both making different kind of drones in their own countries. But hey, thank you to the Netherlands. This is a big deal, especially because, remember, they gave them F-16s, and now they're supplying them with more weapons for the F-16s. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on this, so please do share this video and follow me for more.